Hi and welcome to Python randomly generated graphic. So if I click on this button, this is what you see, because the number, the y-axis changes and the x-axis changes, and we can always plot all of those numbers out on this graph. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you straight into Python development environment, and we put one of these together. As you can see, the exit works as well. So I'm going to click on yes. There we go. Let's start a new project. File, new. Right there, I'm going to start by importing as follows. Import tkinter, and that would be for all. Then I'm going to also import the following. So this tkinter is going to be for the message box that I intend to use as well. So I'm going to say dot, that'll be message box. Okay, and one other importation I'm going to make will be for the random numbers. So I'm going to come in here, let's import random. There we go. Now the next thing we want to do is let's specify the name of our app. It's called root, and I'm going to set the objects at tkinter, and let's say root dot title, and my title in this case I'm just going to call that random. Oh, let's enter a space here. Random number generator, two-dimensional graph. There, and let's close that. There. Now the next thing I'd like to do is let me specify the color. Or first of all, let's go for the geometry, and it's going to be geometry, and that is going to be, let's go for 1350, multiply that by, let's say 640 plus 0 plus 0, that's for the coordinates, and close that. Then root dots configure the color, and I'm going to make the color, the BG color equals candidate blue. There we go. Close that. Alright, okay, let's run this up. So I'm going to come and just say root dot main and let it loop. And what I'm going to do, let's correct this. I'm going to save this, and let's just see what's going to happen when we run this. Save it first. Right there, I'm going to call it, let's just say dimension input. Okay, so that's going to be my dimension input, dimension input. Okay, and let's click on save. There we go. Now if I run it, just want to make sure the frame works as expected, so that's fine. So close that. Now the next thing is I'm now going to define the frame that I intend to use. So that's going to be frame as the widget frame, and this widget frame is going to be inside root. And let's say the back color itself is going to be, let's go for candidate blue, or let's go for powdered blue. We can always change it if I want. Alright, that is fine. Then it's a main frame dot grade. There. Now I will now create two more frames. So maybe I should just copy this. Let's create two more frames and change the names around. So this very one, I'm going to call it data frame 1, this is going to be data frame 1 as well. Inside data frame 1, data frame 1 is going to be right inside main frame, and data frame 1 is going to be in row 0 column 0 equals 0. Alright, and what else do we need to do? Let's just enter right here. We're gonna enter, let's say BD equals 1, and the width, I'm gonna make that approximately 1000, let's say height equals 600, and I'm going to get it padded to y-axis, or let's say x-axis first. X-axis equals, I'm going to make that 40, and the y-axis I'm going to make that about 30 equals 30. Now let's say we'll leave, and that is going to be, that it equals rigid there. And the color this time around, I'm going to make that candidate blue. Right, that is fine. Let me just copy this. I'm going to copy that and use that for the second framework there. So that's frame number 2. There we go, and this is going to be column 1. And right here I'm going to need a comma here and a comma there. Let's see how it's going to look like. Run it and see. Okay, we have an error somewhere. Alright, let's see that this is supposed to be 2 and this should be 1. Okay, let's run it again and see. There we go. You can see the 2 frames. Now the next thing we want to do is, I'm going to just enter LBL. I'm going to call it as, okay, let's just call it title, something like that. And this title is going to be a label, and this very label is going to be right inside this very one. Okay, inside our very frame. And let's say the font color, that is going to, font, let's say font, I'm going to call that area. I may have to speed this up because all this typing will take some time, and let's make that 14 comma, and that will be bold there. Close that. And the text content on it, I'm just going to call that text equals data science. Right there. And BG color equals candidate blue as well. Right. And what else do we want? I'm going to say font color itself equals white. Right. Okay, we're almost there now, so let's get this, copy that, and that's will be below here, dot grade. I like that to be right on top, so it's going to be row equals 0, 0, and column equals 0 as well. Close that. Alright, so let's, one more thing, let's just say strictly west equals west. So I'm going to save that and run it. Let's see how that's going to look like. There we go, that's it. Okay, the next widget I'm going to add will be the canvas. Right here, if I run it, you won't be able to see anything because I have not officially specified the X and Y axis that's meant to be inside the canvas. Supposing I then ask the canvas to create as follows. So canvas widget, I'd like you to create as follows. So paste dot create, and what I want you to create is going to be a line. Create a line, and this line is going to be 100 coordinates by 450, let's say by 800 by 450, and let's say the width for that very widget is going to be equals, let's make that 4. Right, if I run this now, let's see what's going to happen. There we go, look at that, the x-axis is created. So let's come right there. I'm just going to copy that and use that. Create for my y-axis. For the y-axis, I'm going to change this just to 50, and I'll change this to 100. So if we run that again, and hopefully that should give us the y-axis. There, you see that, guys. Now the next thing we want to do is we need to now specify our grading. I'm going to use for loop for I in range 11, so it's going to be 11 numbers in total, and I'll just speed that up anyway. There we go, guys. That will be the grading for the x-axis. So if I run this now, this is what you guys will see. There we go, you see that. So in total, if you count it, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. Now let's do another one for the y-axis. I'm just going to copy this and change things around as well. That of the y-axis is going to be 10. Let's make that 10. And okay, and here are the lines of codes for the grading for the y-axis. As you can see, I have 50 interval among each of these grading. So this is the y-axis, and you can see that's the x-axis there. So the maximum is 450, and the maximum here is 450 as well. So if I run it, this is what you guys will see there. Okay, maximum here is 500. Sorry. All right, so the next thing we want to do now, so I'm going to now declare a variable, not one. I'm going to declare some variables right underneath here. Let's say I'm going to call it ax1, okay, equals integer. Right, and I'm going to have up to 8 of those because I want 8 scattered graph. So that's 4, another one, copy there. So just change the numbers around. That will be 2 3 4 5 6 and 7 and 8, and I'll repeat exactly the same thing for the y-axis. So copy that and just change the x to y. So that'll be y here, and that is going to be axis y, axis left. So those are my variables taken care of. Now that that is taken care of, if I run it, they're not actually doing anything, they're just ordinary variables. But right here, I want to use them here. So the first thing I want to do now is I'm going to create 2 labels. So let's copy these labels there, and I'm going to paste that underneath here. Okay, see it's right above the canvas. Okay, this way I have my variables, and the other label, paste another one here. So one is going to be for y-axis and the other one is going to be for left. It's going to be for x-axis. So let's call this title y-axis. Okay, let's say underscore axis. Right, and the text content, I'm going to change that to y-axis. This will be the x-axis. There we go. And let's change the name here to x-axis. X and X, and the frame is going to be frame number 2 there. So if I run it now, you should be able to see this title on frame 2. Let's run that and you guys see what I'm talking about. There we go. That's for x-axis. I just need to change the, because we have 0 0, y-axis is going to be 0, then this one will be column 1. So let's try that out again. Okay, still not doing what I want. One is in row that and the other one here. Right, look, this is the error here, so I need to change this name as well. Let's change that. Okay, let's try it out again. There we go. Okay, X and Y. Now let's add some patterns in between them to give them some breathing space. So in here I'm just going to enter, let's go for X padding, that will be 4, comma, and Y padding is going to be 8, comma. Right, do the same thing for this other one. Copy and paste it right here. Now come right down, run the program, and let's see. There. Alright, the next thing I like to do right underneath here is I'm going to create a text box or text widget or entry widget as it's called. Okay, right here I'm going to enter this text box for both x and y axis, and this is how it's going to look like. Alright, now let's assign variables into them. So here I'm going to say comma text variable equals, that would be for the very first one, that is x axis. So the x axis is going to be this very one, and paste that inside the x axis, and the other one will be for the y axis. This is y axis and x axis there. Okay, let's run it. This is y, this is x, so let's see. Okay, over here we have y up there. Alright, so let's change it around. This will be y. Okay, let's change it this way. Well, we can just swap this. Let me swap this around. Cut that off. Swap. And this will become 0. This will be 1. Okay, that's fine. Now let's run it and see. There should be a 0 in there. There we go. X-axis, y-axis. So all I'm now going to do is I'll just copy it around. Just copy and speed it all up. I need 8 in total. So I'm going to speed that up and get back to you guys shortly. Okay guys, we are almost there now. So I'm not going to take that long anymore. Okay. So that is the very first part. So I'm going to just run it so that you guys see how it looks like. There we go. So for now, with that, I'm going to call it the end of this tutorial, and I'll see you guys shortly.